My wife and I went to a fertility clinic. The doctor told me I've been sterile my entire life, but I'm staring at my 10-year-old son. The silence in the car on the way home was so thick, you could have cut it with a knife. My wife, Sarah, kept glancing at me, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. "It's a mistake," she said for the fourth time. "The lab must have mixed up your sample." I just nodded. I couldn't speak. I looked out the window, but all I could see were the doctor's words, hanging in the air like smoke. "Zero viable sperm count, Mr. Clark. Based on the tests, this condition appears to be congenital. Since birth." Since birth. We pulled into the driveway. Through the living room window, I could see him, our son, Leo. He was 10 years old, sitting on the floor, furiously tapping at his game console. He had my hair, he had my smile. When he got frustrated, he even scrunched his nose just like I do. I had taught him how to ride a bike. I had held him when he broke his arm. I had read to him every single night for a decade. He was my son, and a doctor I'd met 2 hours ago had just told me, with absolute medical certainty, that he couldn't possibly be. We had been trying for a second child for over a year. That's why we went to the clinic. It was Sarah's idea. I thought the problem was hers, or maybe just stress. Never, in a million years, did I think the problem was me. "David, say something," Sarah pleaded, turning the engine off. "I want another test," I said. "At a different clinic." She agreed instantly. "Of course, whatever you need. It's a mistake, baby. It has to be." For a week, I lived in a fog. I went to work. I came home. I played catch with Leo in the backyard. Every time he laughed, it felt like a tiny paper cut on my heart. I kept searching his face, looking for something, anything, a feature that belonged to someone else. My best friend, Mark, came over. He and I had been friends since college. He was Leo's godfather. He knew we were going to the clinic. "Heard you got some weird news," he said, handing me a beer. "Don't sweat it, man. Those doctors get it wrong all the time. Look at that kid. He's a carbon copy of you." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. I went to the second clinic alone. I paid in cash. I used a different name. The results came 3 days later. The doctor was a kind older woman. She sat me down and explained it gently. "It's definitive," she said. "You have a genetic condition called Klinefelter syndrome. You were born sterile. There is no possibility, sir, that you have ever fathered a child." The world went quiet. It wasn't a mistake. My entire life, my marriage, my son, was a lie. I drove. I didn't go home. I ended up at a park, watching other fathers play with their kids. I was numb. The question wasn't if Sarah had lied, but how and who. 1,000 memories flooded my mind, but now they were all tainted. Sarah, after Leo's birth, exhausted and crying, saying, "He has your eyes, David. He's perfect." All the times people said, "He's your mini-me," and Sarah would just smile. That one business trip I was on. Did it line up? 9 months before? No. It didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was the lie. When I got home, it was late. Sarah was asleep on the couch, waiting for me. She woke up the second I opened the door. "David, where were you? What did the—" She saw my face, and she knew. "I went to another doctor," I said. My voice was hollow. Sarah's expression crumpled. The lie was too heavy to hold anymore. She didn't even try to deny it. She just broke. "Who?" I asked. It was the only word I could get out. She sat on the floor, her back against the couch, and wept. It wasn't an affair, David. Not really. She told me about a time 11 years ago. We'd been dating for 2 years. We had a huge fight, a stupid, massive fight about money, or the future, I don't even remember. We broke up. We were apart for 3 weeks. "I was destroyed," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I thought I'd lost you. I was a mess. I went out with my friends. I got drunk. Stupid drunk. She said she went home with someone. A one-night stand. A meaningless, drunken mistake. She said she didn't even remember his name. 2 weeks later, I called her. I apologized. I told her I was an idiot and that I couldn't live without her. We got back together. A month after that, she found out she was pregnant. I was terrified, she said. I knew it might not be yours, but I loved you so much. I didn't want to lose you again. So I hoped. I prayed he was yours. And when he was born, he looked just like you. I convinced myself he was yours. I stared at her. A lie for 10 years. She had watched me love a child that she knew might not be mine. You let me believe, I said. You let me build my entire life on this. I was going to tell you, she sobbed, 100 times, but he became yours. You were his dad. He loves you, David. He adores you. Does a piece of paper, does blood, change that? Yes, I roared. Yes, it changes everything. It changes us. And then the final, terrible question hit me, the one I was too afraid to ask. You said, you didn't know his name, I said, my voice shaking. The man from that night. Are you sure? Sarah couldn't look at me. She just stared at her hands, and I knew. She wasn't just lying. She was still lying. Who was it, Sarah? I demanded. She took a deep, shuddering breath. Please, David, it doesn't matter. He's gone. Who was it? She looked at me, her eyes full of a new kind of terror. It was Mark. The beer I was holding slipped from my hand. Mark, my best friend, my brother, Leo's godfather. Mark, who had just been in this living room. Mark, who had patted me on the back and said, "He's a carbon copy of you, man." The betrayal was so absolute, so complete, that I couldn't even breathe. He had been there. He had watched me. For 10 years, he had played catch with his own son, my son, and called me Buddy. I left. I walked out the door. I didn't say another word. I drove to Mark's house. It was 2 in the morning. I hammered on his door until he opened it, confused and bleary-eyed. "Dave? What's wrong?" He saw my face. He must have known. The lie was too big. "You," I said, just that one word. Mark's face collapsed. He knew exactly what I meant. He didn't even try to deny it. "Dave, let me explain. It was before. It was that one night. We were drunk. It didn't mean anything." "It didn't mean anything?" I said, the rage finally coming, hot and clean. "He's 10 years old. He calls me Dad. You stood at his baptism. You held him." "And I watched you," Mark said, his voice quiet. "I watched you be the father I could never be. I watched you love him. It was the right thing to do, Dave. It was always supposed to be you." "Get out of my life," I said. "Both of you." I turned and left him standing in his doorway. That was 6 months ago. I didn't divorce Sarah. Not yet. I'm living in the guest room. The house is quiet. The lie is always there, sitting at the dinner table with us. Mark moved away. Sarah and I are in therapy. The therapist asks if I can forgive. I don't know. How do you forgive a betrayal that rewrites your entire past? But then, there's Leo. He's not my blood. I know that now. When I look at him, I don't see myself anymore. I see a kid who loves video games. I see a kid who is kind to animals. I see a kid who needs his dad. He came into the guest room last night. He's old enough to know something is wrong. "Are you and Mom going to break up?" he asked, his voice small. I pulled him onto the bed. "No, buddy," I said, and the word buddy felt like ash in my mouth. "We're just working through some adult stuff." He leaned his head on my shoulder, the same head I'd held when he was a baby. "Good," he whispered, "because you're my best friend, Dad." I held him, and for the first time in months, I wasn't angry. I was just sad. The doctor was right. I'm not his father, but I am his dad, and I have no idea what to do. If this story touched you, if you've ever had to separate the family you chose from the family you were given, please subscribe to the channel. We share true, strange, and deeply human stories that remind us we're not alone. Hit subscribe. Thank you for listening, and be kind to yourself.